You are live, Chris. You are live. Mr.
Live.
Kasha, you're live.
Not
We are live. We are live. We are live. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Good day, good day, good day. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're trying to make sure that we can see the screen over here to our right, so that way when you guys want to ask questions, they can pop up on YouTube. So Chris says I look a little flushed today. Maybe it's because I'm ready to destroy him, totally rip into him today. So first of all, I got my clipboard all sent up. So Chris, you want to say good morning?
Morning, people. How are you? Beautiful day. Happy to be here. Sad I wasn't here last week, but remote was pretty cool.
Yeah, that remote, what? Was it the colonoscopy that was remote or the ENT?
We weren't supposed to talk about that.
Oh, listen, first I just want to say one thing. I want to give a shout out. No, is it a shout? A shout out to one of my favorite podcast people, my two favorite podcast people. And I know a lot of people got issues with this, but I love Ben Shapiro. I love Ben Shapiro, and I definitely love Joe Rogan. I think they're probably one of the greatest individuals, and that's what's motivated me to do this. And I asked him for a very close, and I consider Chris family. We've known each other over 40 years. You know what? He had a successful career in the Mass State Police. I had an okay career with the Massachusetts Department of Corrections. I say go blue shirts, screw the white shirts. You're all fake. Every one of you white shirts suck in plain English. And you can jump on my podcast or come in person and tell me to my face that you disagree with me. But that's how I feel about my department that I work for. There's very few trustworthy individuals once you go white shirt. But let's move on from there. Today's episode, what I want to discuss with Chris is inside police training, everyone. So first of all, once again, welcome to Security Tales. In today's episodes, we're diving into the important topic of police training and recruitment. It's essential to note that the insights and opinions we share here are based on experience and understanding of the law enforcement field. We encourage open dialogue, but we want to clarify that we are not legally liable for any statements made during this discussion. Our goal is to provide perspectives and knowledge, not legal advice. So on that note, Chris, you want to touch base with anything I just said?
Nope. It's good, cover our ass a little bit, but, we're just here to give our opinion. It may or may not be, your opinion, but that's why we're here. We're here to listen to what you have to say and what you want to talk about and answer your questions.
Yes, and you can tell us to screw off, and that's 100%. Hey, also, fast.
You'd probably be right.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny it. Also, I might get up, or Chris might get up, because we do not have our Facebook account connected to the TV. So please, if you're on our Facebook account and you want to ask a question, please do put it in. I'll get up and take a look at it. I'm still trying to figure out how to do it the correct way. Once again, you're talking about two dudes that without Robbie the Robber here, we don't understand half of it. Also, I forgot to give a shout out to Joey Bevere. Joey hooked up the Ducan camera system and helped us also with the Scarlett with the microphone. He's a gamer, great kid. He's got an opportunity to DJ. I wish him nothing but success. He's a great kid. And raised correctly. My shout out to Mr. Joe Bevere, Sergeant at Chelsea too. Mad love, great job with your kid, man. Great family. So anybody you want to give a shout out to, Chris?
Nope. Everybody, that's it. Don't care about all of them.
No family shout outs, no love to the wife. So listen, first I want to talk on let's just get it started. Let's just get it started. So question, Chris.
Yes,
you
sir.
ready? You rested? You ready to go?
I'm ready.
All
I
right.
prepared for like 30 seconds. So I'm good.
All right. Do you need to use the bathroom? Because I know you might have some residuals from last week's event.
Well, at least we know only one of us is full of shit.
Well, Chris, just to let you know, and not to go back to something, but I remember last week as we were discussing about the flat Earth, and then we were talking about the moon landing. And I know this has nothing to do with it, but I researched it. I need you to look up if there was lead suits designed when we went out to outer space. That's all I want you to do. So you don't have to answer, but or if someone wants to answer for him, that's going to be on. Just let me know. Were their lead suits designed the first time we went to the moon? That's all I want to know. Because Chris got so caught up with saying, "Oh, we had lead suits on," and I just want to.
No,
You did say it.
No, I said lead.
I have it
blocks
written.
lead blocks radiation, but
Yes.
if you're inside the capsule, you don't need a lead suit on because the capsule's blocking the radiation.
How's the capsule blocking the radiation, Chris?
I think it's designed that way. Freaking $100 billion, whatever they spent on.
Listen,
the thing.
$100 billion was not
come
used for it.
on.
Listen, somebody
Oh,
jump on and argue
I'm
this.
glad we're back.
Oh,
I'm glad we're back to reality and we're back to earth here.
listen,
You know.
we're gonna skip on because I'm gonna prove him wrong next episode.
All right.
So hold on. So, Chris, so step one, serious matter. What are the basic requirements to become a police officer? So, what are your basic requirements?
Well, unfortunately, initially, it's comes down to, we went through the process. It comes down to is you're taking a test. It's kind of a general knowledge test, and the system's not perfect, but that's what you do. You take a test, and they go down the scores. After you get to a certain level on the test, they'll go down to a certain score, and then you go on to different things. So, basic requirement. You taking the test. After that, it's you get the psych. I don't want to get into the other things on you, but you get the psych, you get the PT test, you got stuff like that. But initially, the first hurdle is you're just taking a general knowledge test, kind of like an SAT test.
Okay. So I just want to say one thing. I do apologize. We usually do this on a Thursday, but I have some matters I need to attend to on Thursday. And thank you, Chris, for understanding that. So we did it today, but we will be doing it every Thursday. And I do appreciate some of you that are missing it or whatever. Please look at it afterwards and write your comments. Thank you, Robbie the Robber, for saying it looks good, sounds good. Appreciate it. So, Chris, some things I wanted to ask you. So, do you have to be 21 years of age to get on the department?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's 21
Do you
years
have
of
to
age.
be a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to be under 35 and under as well.
Is it 35?
It is 35.
So, but some towns, don't they do it even if it is a civil service? Isn't it older, like 45? I think their cutoffs are.
Well,
That's for the Mass State Police,
I'm only
correct?
speaking to the state police, but
Okay.
but at the same token, the 35 age limit has been challenged and has been won. You just need to maybe get a lawyer or just say, "Hey, I'm going to sue," and they're like, "Oh, okay, sorry, you can get on as a 39-year-old." So it has been challenged, and people have won that. So it's definitely not set in stone.
Okay. So, one of my other questions: do you have to be a U.S. citizen?
I believe so. Yes.
So you do. Okay. So one of my questions is that I've been seeing because once again I do own a security company and I do have over 80 security staff individuals that work for me. And two of them are actually going for their Mass State Police and they're finishing up some stuff. But what I've noticed is one of them doesn't have a vehicle license, but when I research it, it says you need to have a valid driver's license in order to get onto the Mass State Police and local police department. So what just changed where you don't need a license?
Unless they change that, we had a class. It was a little bit comical a couple of classes ago where numerous people didn't have driver's license. And numerous people, it was their first job they've ever had. You ask people where you work, this, that, and the other thing, and they're like, I've never had a job before. And it's the first job they've ever had. They never had a driver's license. And unfortunately, we acquiesced to them. And I believe they sent a van around picking the people up. And after a couple of weeks, they said, look, find a friend to get a ride. But we were actually, giving people a ride, doing everything, bending over backwards for to get these people there.
So you're telling me,
Yeah.
okay? Oh, look, you're resting.
Oh no,
So,
because it's
so
just
you're
like,
telling me.
it does bother me what we've done.
Well, I don't understand how it doesn't bother you because due to the fact that I know you, in order to take a job that I consider as a work ethnic to the community and the desire to be somebody to hold a uniform that's basically there to serve and to help people and stuff and they're supposed to be dedicated to their job. How do I expect that you guys are now picking them up? taking that liability off them to get up in the morning to drive them to work, that now the department's taking on an extra cost that the taxpayers have to pay in order to pick these individuals up, to get them to work on time and to wait for them to get ready and to drop them off. What type of job responsibility does that place on somebody when they know they got a taxi cab to pick them up to go to work? And on top of it, I'm going to tell you, you've known me since we were kids. I'm a horrible driver. So when I was younger, I got my license at 16. I'm sorry, went to driver's ed 16, got my license at 17, crashed my first vehicle, got it fixed, crashed it again. Then they took my license and then I had to go back to driver's ed. So you're telling me that you guys getting car chases at how many miles an hour?
120.
120. So now you're telling me you're placing someone in a vehicle that's, how much does a state trooper vehicle cost from tail to end after you do all the work, lights and everything?
Guess, I don't know, 50 grand.
So 50 grand a cruiser, and they get their cruiser and they take it home. And now they've only had one and a half years of driving skills, never driven in winter, never driven in rain, actually never driven at all. And now we're saying right out of the academy, go ahead and do it. I know after I left this, I had to go to, when I went into private security, I also went to a protection driving school up in Rhode Island. And it was a 4-day class of driving, your weapon on your side, all this specialized training. And that was insane. And then you have to do it every 6 months. So what do you guys do for every month or whatever to make sure these guys are driving correctly?
Well, they're probably out on the road with less than 6 months of having a license. They have some driver training. I believe that's usually only about a week, 4 to 5 days of driver training. And so it's even worse than you think. So we're putting them out there, and yeah, something may happen. First 3 months you're with the coach, but something may happen.
So whoa. Happen. So they're your boot, right? Is that what you call them? So they're your boot. Are they driving while they're beside you, or are you usually driving your cruiser?
Usually that's individual, up to the coach, whether or not he's going to let you drive the first month or second month or whatever. So that's usually up to the coach, but you should drive 2 out of 3 months.
Really?
Yeah. So they're driving with little or no experience, and it's a little bit better now. But when I got on, you're driving a Crown Vic, which is not 4-wheel drive, one of the worst cars to drive in the snow. You're driving at 8-10 inches of snow, and these people, like I said, have little or no driving experience. And we just, unfortunately, because it's a lot harder to get candidates now, did everything, bent over backwards to get candidates, including like this one too. It's like you have to buy a bunch of gear, sweatshirts, t-shirts, all this crap, and books and stuff. And they had another thing. If you couldn't afford to buy the sweatshirts and t-shirts and stuff like that, we'll buy them for you. Yeah, a little bit different than when we took it.
So I'm not gonna lie, that part with the driver's license is really confusing me. I think it's probably one of the most ridiculous and ludicrous things that we would trust someone that has little or no experience to be behind a state vehicle. I guarantee if I was to pull statistics on that, which I'm going to, I want to see how many accidents from newbies have been recorded, and what the justification would be to put somebody where I know for a fact your laws stand to get onto a police department. At the time, I think it said 6 years worth of driving experience. And all of a sudden, because it's so hard to get people onto the department, you're saying that now they're just bypassing that and saying, who cares? You know what? We'll train you.
I don't remember driving experience qualification.
Okay. Well, I found it, and it did say it was 6 years on. And even what's worse is this. So you have a driver's ed school, correct? These people have to go through their certs and certification with driving, and besides, you have control of that vehicle. So how are you training people to drive the vehicles? Like, I know for a fact when I went, I had to go to the registry. When I went to the registry, Mass State Police was sitting right beside me. My 3 points were horrible, and he told me to get the hell out of the car, and he drove us back. And I had to go back and practice. So you're going to tell me that this individual who's never driven behind, never anything, who's the person that makes that judgment call to say, you're good to drive? Go ahead, brute.
The person that they're not going to fail them.
So you guys are trained to make that decision to pass these people as a registry? Because I know the registry passes them, but it's usually at the time it wasn't the Mass State Police. Who was it? Registry Police, I think it would call.
Right, but we're not
Yeah.
talking registry police now. We're talking at the academy when you go through your 5-day training session. So, the 5-day training session you have some training, but it's easier and it's harder in different ways. Yeah, you do an obstacle course, you do this, you do that. You drive backwards, you do all kinds of things. But let's keep in mind, you're doing it at an abandoned airfield. So you have cones to hit, but you have a wide open space in which you're driving. You have cones to hit. You don't have other people to hit. You don't have other cars to hit. You don't have.
But have you guys gone through this specialized training and has been certified to say that you can pick and choose who can drive and who can't? Like what training? Like, and I'm sorry for sticking on this. It's kind of taking me off.
Well, it's just your perception of how you're driving. I mean, there's no like when I've done driver tests before. When I was out in Springfield, I did driver tests just because you're the low man and the guy's sick, so they pick somebody to do it. And there's no specialized training. I don't think I need specialized training to figure out whether or not you're a good driver or not. I had a good one.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, I had a good one. I get in the car and, you have to have certain things. And we go to pull out of the parking lot. And, she's supposed to stop at the road. She doesn't stop. She puts her foot on the brake and the car just keeps on going, drives right through the intersection. So I just, I get out of the car because it was like 100 yards from the R&B. I get out of the car, close the door, and say, "You're all, I'm out," because the car actually lost its brakes, and I was just like, "I'm done with this."
Now, this was a recruit or someone you pulled over?
No, this was when we used to do the R&B test.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, Jesus,
Yep.
That's funny. So, can you explain the process for new recruits and what they go through?
The training in particular at the academy.
I would say, so obviously we know they have to take an exam, they have to make a certain grade score, or is that true anymore?
They have to make a certain grade score that is substantially lower than it was.
I remember when we did it, what was it, 99 to 100?
Yeah, you had to get high 90s. And I think I don't know which class they're on now, but one of the last classes before I left, they were into the 70s.
I heard 76 and 74.
Yeah.
So what do you think, just on that alone is a conversation. So what do you think all of a sudden when we were younger and we were getting on and our test scores were so much higher? And to be honest with you, wasn't there a 6-foot rule mandatory at that time too? No. I couldn't recall. I remember there was a 6 foot. You had to be 6 feet sometime. Was that before us?
I think that's a misnomer. I think it was like 5'9".
5'9"?
I think it was 5'9" initially back in the old days.
So now we're saying that they've dropped the test score to 70s, let's say mid 70s, because we don't know the exact things.
They keep on going down until they get the amount of people that they need to get, whether that's 80 or 70. They'll just keep on going lower and lower and lower.
So to be honest with you, it sounds like you guys are looking for fillers and not someone objectively that could fulfill the duties of the job. Because I know when I took that test, a lot of it was psych. So you're basically telling me I can't disclose because I wouldn't know unless I look at their test scores. But you're telling me, like, let's just say someone did 40% failed psych, but yet, 60% they did well on this other end. So now that combine those scores together gives you 73, 74, and that makes them suitable for hire.
Well, you're not going to get to the psych until you get past the written test. And now you got to put it in perspective.
So I'm sorry, Chris. So the psych. So what I mean is I remember when I took the exam, it would say a bunch of questions and it would say, do you like to read? Do you read a book? Or do you skip pages or something? Then it asks you the same questions again. It's the same exact questions, but it's set up in a different ABC, CDBA, and it's the same 3 questions.
Right.
So to me, I always thought that was psych. Is that incorrect?
I mean, part of that psych, but there's a separate psych exam where you actually, you take a real psych test as part of that. But now putting it in perspective, when we took the exam, I believe, it was almost a secret. You didn't know when the exam was going to be. Yeah. Nobody would tell you shit.
Yeah.
The only way you could find out if you knew somebody on the job, like I think you knew somebody who knew when the test was. But like when we took it, I believe like 40,000 people took the test, and it was virtually a secret. It was a little ad in the Boston Herald that you had to find, and they probably put it in there 1 week. Now everything's obviously online. We used to do our own separate exam. So you took the test, it was only for state police. Now it's part of civil service. So everyone knows when civil service is.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know
It's
that.
been like that for years. Everyone knows when civil service is what, every 2 years.
Yeah. Yep. Every 2 years.
And civil service is, I don't want to say it's simpler or whatever, but it's so much easier. So for example, you don't really want to be a state trooper. You want to be maybe a Reading cop, or you want to be a fireman, whatever. So you go in, you check, fireman for Reading or cop for Reading, and you say, well, what the hell, I might as well, check state police. So it's really not indicative.
So it's not a separate exam. So that same test.
It's not. No, it's now civil service because it costs us a lot of money. And it comes down to money. Costs us a lot of money to hold the test.
Okay.
Because it was our test, and they whatever to save money. So the point being is, half the people that you're checking or getting on who are checking that box may not even want to be a trooper. They're just checking the box because, hey, if you're going in to take a test and I can check 10 boxes, I'm going to check 10 boxes.
Yeah.
So now I think one of the last exams, I think we got 6,000 people. And this
last exam 6,000.
And this is like recruitment. We have a recruitment division that goes to high schools. They recruit people. They try to get people to take the test. They now have a student trooper program, which almost guarantees you get into the, almost guarantees that you get into the academy, because I can't remember. I think they have to take like 30 or 50% from the student trooper program.
Jesus.
And so I think they had like 150. So you're a student trooper, right? And they're paying you. You get like 3 weeks of vacation to start. They pay you, I think, like 40 grand a year, and you almost guaranteed getting into the academy.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
I really, really don't know what to say.
Granted, getting a high score on a test isn't really indicative of whether or not you're going to be a good cop or not, but it's the only scale we have. It's the way to weed people out. You want smarter people. And one of the big things I think that hurt the department huge was when we lost the Quinn bill. It's been like, I don't even know, 15 years.
Yeah, all departments went through the suffering. What was that, like a 2% hike for your educational level?
Yeah, it's fine. 25.
Not to the state. I'm sorry, the state police.
25%.
Hey, listen, I gotta. There was one question I kind of wanted to finish off with the academy, but I wanted to throw something. I know when I was younger, the reason why I wanted to be a state trooper so bad was you guys just portrayed something to me that was like all of it. To me, it was like when I seen a Mass State Police jump out of their vehicles, they looked intimidating. They looked squared away. I'm talking about gig lines, belt lines, boots, shined. You could see yourself in and everything. I actually look at them like some of the chief of polices or deputy chief of polices that are always squared away. Their patrolmen don't ever seem to be, but they always seem to be. So when I saw Mass State Police, I always thought they run it all. So meaning like if a Mass State Police was in a town, state police oversees the operation before a local cop. But then I found out later in life, as I got older, that isn't necessarily true. So one of my confusion was, you guys just control the highways, or if the highways have sections where it goes through the towns, it's still the towns, but you guys are second assistants. That's what I always get confused with.
I mean, we can go wherever we want, towns or cities, but we're not going to come into a town. We're going to come into a town and do what you want, maybe make an arrest. But if you got something going on in your town, we're not going to come in and say, all right, we're in charge. You're going to come in and say, what can we do to help? Now, at the same token, on the highways, now, for example, Route 9. Route 9 is a long road and it runs through many, many towns. We cannot, and we do not have the manpower to come close to covering everything on Route 9. So like the Framingham Barracks covers Route 9. You can't cover every crash on Route 9. I mean, I think the Framingham Barracks, their patrols is a desk and 3.
Really?
And they cover 128 as well. So how are you going to cover 128, Route 9?
So you guys assist each other.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, anything on Route 9, if it's in Newton or Wellesley or whatever, the Newton or Wellesley guys will take it. And, because we just don't have the people. We'd have to, I mean, our numbers, it's usually a desk and 2 or a desk and 3 out of all the barracks. that hasn't changed in 30 years or
Huh.
more. Like Concord. All right, so Concord's one of the worst. I think.
Right at the Rotary.
Yeah, so they're at the Rotary. They cover 4 highways.
Yeah.
4 major highways.
Saw that.
With a desk and 2.
Yeah.
2 guys to cover 4 major highways. And
you guys also have horses there, which I never see out.
Yeah. Well, they're in Acton. Acton's where the stable is.
Well, I remember because when I worked for the department and I also worked at the minimum prison, we used to bring the inmates from Northeastern Correction to them, and it was only like 2 miles down the road, right off the Concord exit.
Yeah.
And it was right there to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stables are in Acton, though.
All right. Hey, so that was great because I was always trying to wonder that out. So one of my things I wanted to ask was back to the academy. We're talking about various amount of trainings, which we're doing criminal law, traffic control, right? We're also dealing with firearms proficiency, physical fitness, which is one of the ones I wanted to discuss, in emergency response. And training usually lasts for what, several months, 9 months or whatever for the Mass State Police?
Used to be 26. I think it's down to 23 or 24.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just trying to put this all together. So now I'm investing in, because I'm a taxpayer, I'm investing into we're sticking with Mass State Police because that's what you know more of, because you've been through it with 26 years. So now I'm invested in a person. Let's talk about the physical status. So individual comes in. I know one of your criterias are what? Push-ups, sit-ups, or whatever. How many push-ups am I supposed to do, and why?
I don't think there's a minimum per se. I don't know what has changed. I do remember when I was there, we had a big-bodied guy who wasn't really just, when I say big body, wasn't fat. He was just a big dude. He was like 6'5" and probably 240 pounds. And you think, oh, this guy's a monster, right?
No body strength though.
Guy couldn't do 5 push-ups. It was.
So why make that part of the physical test if you're going to turn around and say, well, Jesus Christ, this guy can't do more than 2 push-ups. So when you're telling me physical fit, right? And that's what it says. It says it in your department, disclosure papers. It says valid license. It says physical fit. I need to pass this physical thing that you guys put up together. But now I go in, I do 1 push-up. I do 1 pull-up. I run a 20-minute mile. That's enough to get me on.
I can't remember what they're doing now, to be honest, but
let's do it from when you were a DI in the academy.
It's part of your final score. I mean, you have to
improve.
You have to improve. Well, it's also part of your score, so it's part of your final score. I think, and again, I'm guessing now, 10% of your final score and your final grade, was your PT test. But at the same token, if you get hurt week 3 and, whatever, you hurt your knee and we can't get you to resign and you want to stay in, you can stay in and be a medical muffin for weeks and weeks and weeks. And
why wouldn't you just put them on leave until the next academy, until they heal, to come back? Because that makes absolutely no sense.
You really can't, this little secret, but you really can't force people out. People have to kind of, quit on their own. It's not like they're like, hey, your knee's hurt. Well, no, I can rehab it and stuff like that. And I know a person in particular who's a very, very high rank in the state police who, was hurt most of the academy, but every time, like every whatever month or so, you would have a PT test that would count towards your score. So, every month it's like, oh no, I think I can do the PT test. So they do the PT test because it counted towards your score, and then they could, go back to being the medical muffin.
Bro, to me, it just sounds like bullshit in plain English. It's like you're developing a formula, and you have to complete this formula. But then when that formula comes up, you can give any answer you want.
Kinder and gentler.
Yeah.
And gentler.
It doesn't seem like you're designing an elite team.
No.
Okay. To be honest,
let's not even get into when you fail a test that they'll let you get another crack at it.
Okay. Now, one of the things that was big, I know when we were taking it, do they still require an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree in order to get on?
They don't require any degree.
Not even a high school diploma? A GED, probably?
I'm hoping. I don't know for sure, but I would assume so.
Wow, have time changed, bro?
I don't honestly know about the high school diploma. I'm sorry. I would assume that everyone would have one, but
I can truthfully say I've been running my company over 10 years. I've ran other security companies. And one of the biggest thing is the lack of education with some individuals that didn't pursue. They didn't even get their GED, but they're looking for work and jobs. Is it mandatory? The answer is no. But do we look for it? Because a lot of our stuff has to do with DAR reports, daily active shift reports that you have to write. So then you have to make sure you show, they show you that they have writing skills and understand grammatically they can read and write what goes on, because we do shift reports and incident reports. So now you're going to tell me that might not even matter anymore. So you're telling me history doesn't matter anymore either.
I think you should. I think you should take the test.
I guarantee I get 100.
Take the test, get on, and
oh God, no. My goal is to get off of everything and enjoy life. All right, so let me ask something. So one of the biggest things that I always laugh about is when people tell me I had to go for a psychological test. Okay, so it's an evaluation and not a test, because I always say it's not a test. It's like they're doing an eval on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's in the recruitment process. I was just trying to figure out how to say it. It's in the recruitment process. So when you're telling me that you're doing this, who's actually doing the psychological evaluation?
No, it is a doctor.
So it is a doctor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a doctor's doing the eval on this person, right? And obviously you've gone through it. So you can rightfully say exactly what type of questions does this doctor actually. I know when I was trying to get on the Connecticut State Police, at the same time when I was younger, the guy literally asked me if I had any bestiality thoughts or like things about sleeping with animals. And
did he know you?
Well, I think he did. That's why I asked.
All right. I thought so.
I thought it was probably one of the most strangest questions I've ever heard in my life. And he was saying some weird stuff, some very weird stuff back then.
Because you'll never know what you get. I mean, people are effed up. I mean, it's not a problem. I know.
So it is wrong.
What?
Sleeping with animals.
Yes.
All right. I just want to make sure.
Yes. Unless they consent. But I mean, hey, I know a guy who took our, kind of friendly with him, and he took our test, and he failed the psych, which I haven't really heard of him failing the psych. So he failed the psych, and we weren't going to let him on. But what he did is he's on like some local department out by Worcester or something like that now. He paid his own guy. He paid another guy to give him a psych test, which of course he passed because he paid,
of course.
And now he's on a local department out there.
So my interesting thought would be, this guy is freaking a psycho, and he's probably carrying a gun, and this guy could blow up and erupt at any moment. Because if you're failing an exam to get onto a department, how can you trust an individual to move forward, to basically be in a cruiser by himself, to have a weapon of destruction and control, and be able to have that right demeanor to pull somebody over and make that decision?
Well, I mean, we've had, I can't remember the details on it, and I thought it was in the news. This is any insider information. That guy who was, he pulled over some girl, and he's like, telling her, I won't give you a ticket, give you my, give me your phone number and stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we had another guy who was like shoplifting and stuff. I mean, he's on the job, but he's shoplifting. I'm like,
didn't you have?
Are you kidding me? I mean,
wasn't there a situation? Because I remember you used to run the Encore. Didn't somebody find a wallet and it ended up being a trooper took the wallet? Or was that you was telling me that, or somebody else?
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, the officer ended up having the wallet and didn't return it. And I'll look that up before I speak on it.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things is, so when we're talking about psychological evaluations, and I believe they're crucial, right? I think they're very crucial for assessing a candidate's mental fitness, okay, and suitability for the stresses of the police work. All right. And this process helps ensure that recruits can handle the emotional and psychological demands of the job. But it was interesting because you just said to me that some people can pay and most likely, does the Mass State Police let you get your own people after you failed that one from that person? Can
He's
you
the
go?
only instance that I know of, and we didn't let
No,
him.
no, I know that.
Yeah,
But what
we
I'm
didn't.
asking is, can I say, no, you're screwed up. I'm going to go to another site to prove you wrong.
I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
because it's our guy, and our guy says no, and your guy says yes, then it's still no. Hopefully,
Okay. All right.
unless of course you have a good lawyer.
All right. So let's move on. Kind of disappointed because I know a lot of people said they were going to jump on, and it might be because I changed the day, and I do apologize. But please jump on at Security Tales. We're live on YouTube. You can ask us some questions. I'm looking at the monitor, and I'd like to see some because, especially you, Mr. Ray, you kept saying I wanted questions, and all of a sudden I'm not getting any questions. So I think, what, you got nothing to say?
I see some crap.
I don't want the crap there.
No,
Go to
what's that-
YouTube.
What's that in the bottom left hand corner of your phone? Is that
Yeah, it's somebody
people saying
writing something. Yeah, but I need them to go to YouTube because that means I got to get up. That means I got to cardio. I've already
You
cardio.
know what you should do? Can you hook your phone up to the TV?
I said we need Robbie the Robber to do
Dude,
it.
that is just easily.
I know it's
screen time.
mirrored,
Yeah.
but if I mirror it, I'm going to take over this mirror image, and then I won't see the words. So if people write on YouTube, I got to figure it out. I might just get another TV and hook it up. That's it. They're so cheap.
Split screen.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. That'll be, maybe we can fool around with it afterwards. So let's, come on. You drifted me off now. Now I got to read.
People want to hear this stuff.
All right.
Hear
So
all your stupid tales.
listen. Oh, whoa. So what are some of the common challenges faced during police training?
For them, for us at the academy.
Well, I think I'm going to be honest with you because I know we always wanted to talk this and discuss this because obviously I believe it's very dramatic. So when I'm talking about this is both, and I guess it would be the mental aspect of it. Not only are you guys being a DI in the academy and training these people to follow the laws and all the bylaws that go on, but then immediately after you're dealing with the stresses, because I know I deal with the stresses of my employees. I got an administration team, and on top of it, I have all these staffs and officers, and I'm getting it at all ends. So sometimes your mind just doesn't stop racing, and you need to take care of it. And sometimes you don't catch up with it. So now you're a DI, because I remember when you were a DI, and also I remember you were dealing with so many other things that were going on because you still had open cases that you still had to go when you were boots to ground, and now you're a DI, and now you're running this. So what emotional aspect affects you as that officer, and also the recruits that now are going out boots to ground because now they're feeling that family unity within you guys now, but now you guys are like, go out now. Now they're dealing with civilians. So first, I'd like to discuss the stresses of you guys. And to be honest with you, if you wanted to touch base, because I've known you for so long, you've always been very dedicated into what you do. And then I did notice some change in you, not after the first year, not after the fifth year, not after the 15th year. I started noticing you emotionally, not the Chris I knew, because we used to joke a lot and we used to do things. We went to Vegas. We had a great time, great family, beautiful kids, beautiful wives. And then all of a sudden, I see 30% of a depressed person now. And I did not expect you to retire at 26, to be honest with me. To be honest with you, I expected you to be like Brian. Brian's now deputy chief, probably going to be the next chief. You guys have been my friends since we were kids. I expected to see you in possibly a lieutenant colonel's position or a colonel's position before retiring. One thing I could say, you and him are probably one of the smartest guys I ever known when it comes to book stuff and everything. And I truthfully, on an open live air, I would say that something changed who you were working for the department, because you are not the same person that I knew.
No, you definitely become a little bit jaded. Definitely become an asshole. You're dealing with people who, again, you deal with normal people, you deal with assholes, but you're dealing with people who lie to you all the time. You kind of get caught up in the politics of the department, which is a whole nother subject matter, more who you know than what you know. But it just wasn't fun anymore. Part of part of the reasoning was, basically everything we just discussed. The people getting on and stuff like that, and they're telling you, as a supervisor, they're telling me it's like, no, you can't just tell somebody what to do. You have to tell them what to do and why. It's like, no, you need to do that because this, that, that's the other thing, as opposed to just say, no, you need to do this. It's like you've had conversations with people, and people won't want to hear this, but it's like, hey, you gotta go out and do some work, right? Unfortunately, when we do work, it's negative for the public sometimes. Let's something simple, speeding tickets. Hey, you gotta go out and write some speeding tickets. Why? Because I want speeding tickets? No, because it's your freaking job. It's your job. You need to do your job. All right, we're paying you. Can you do something, please? And I couldn't tell you how many people, and you can't say anything to them that have like, they'll write 2 tickets in a month. You couldn't drive down the street without writing 5 tickets.
I was going to say, I just sit here as a civilian,
Yeah.
and I could have written 30 tickets in 2
And
seconds.
it's like, you'll talk to the person. It's like, look, you really need to do something. You really need to get up.
Hello, CC.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're absorbing the information.
you need to get your activity up, and you're like, and the person will be like, sir, are you telling me that there's a quota and I have to write tickets? And you're like, no, because there is no quota.
Bullshit.
Yeah, no, there's no quota.
You can say, hey, you can say, because you still got to stay where you're staying.
No quota because
There is, I don't care what you say.
How'd that person write 2 tickets in a month?
Well, and I'm sure that bigwigs pulled them inside and said,
you can't do anything. Sir, should I get my union representative here to tell me that you can't tell me that I have to do work?
So here, the question is, you did self-admit that you were almost feeling like life was spiraling almost, and you were losing control of yourself because you're playing both sides of it.
Yeah,
like me personally, I know when I got on, I was basically on kid status. I was on move teams. I was doing everything, and I was liked. But then later on in the show, we'll discuss my situation and issue when it came to the prison system, and to let you know, it was a personal problem to the point where I wrote a book, and it's called The Hill. It's actually behind us right now. So it's actually a book that's out in Amazon, and it details exactly stuff that I went through. But I know personally, when I first got on, I wanted to be a sergeant. I wanted to be a lieutenant. I wanted to be a captain. I wanted to move myself continuously forward. But then, because when I saw the dramatics that were occurring, where the white shirts, as I referred to them, were trying to play. So if I got along with you, and I think you're great, and me and you work great together, and we do our job, but because you might have not done something correctly with one person and you're not sucking up to them, now you're a piece of shit. So now they want me to follow that, and I can't. I'm a straight soldier, meaning that I respect the person, and the camaraderie of that individual I like will not be dictated by someone else's decision to hate. So if I like you, I like you. You're my boy forever. Someone goes and talks smack of you, I'm definitely going to speak up. And do you feel you dealt with the same thing? People that you thought were with you decided to pull away from you and do their own thing?
Well, here's the other thing real quick. I absolutely, fully admit I became jaded and definitely an asshole over the years. That's a given. But on your other thing, it's like the way I describe it as, you got 2 people, A and B. A does something, B does the exact same thing. A is liked, B is not liked, and it's handled completely different. It's okay that the guy who's liked did that, but it's not okay that the guy who isn't liked or isn't in the inner circle or isn't this.
You just said the term.
Yes.
You said the term. So
absolutely, 2 people can do the exact same thing, and it's the outcome is completely different.
So this is the stuff that civilians on the outside, they don't understand. That you guys are dealing with stresses within your own organization, and then it's like you guys are just like being so held tight in there and keeping your mouth quiet. And then when you go and, like you just said, if A did something wrong, it's okay. But if you do the same identical problem, it's not okay. So now you're getting reprimanded, and you really can't say nothing because then you'll get it. Does CC have a question, or she's just talking smack?
I'm absorbing the information. Dude, we all know you got a quota. No, we don't. If we got a quota,
Oh, listen.
What are we doing with a person who wrote 2 tickets a month for the last 5 years?
CC, he answered the question. He's telling you.
I tell you the truth.
But here's the sad thing. and I don't want to stay on this, but I do want to stay on this because I feel in this time, in this world, there's so many people that have some mental situations that are occurring, bad or good. We're all dealing with something right now. Did they supply you guys with something to have an outlet onto it? And if they do, what happens? Do you get mocked? Like all of a sudden they're like, we got to watch out for Chris. And then all of a sudden Chris might be a risk. Or so we, listen, our goal is now to get Chris out of the department. You get what I mean? I don't know if I'm phrasing that correctly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could get into a lot of crap here, but you don't. So, my last year wasn't enjoyable. Enjoyable for me was another reason why I left. I didn't like where I was. I didn't like what I was doing. It just wasn't my type of job. And, granted it was a promotion. I just didn't really like it.
Now you retired as a lieutenant though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was in basically IA, call it whatever you want. And that's just
IA's internal affairs.
Yeah, it's not something I wanted to do. But anyway.
And what is that? And what's that job criteria? Because I know with me in the Department of Corrections, internal affairs was usually a team called IPS, Inner Perimeter Security Team, that would investigate officers, which I'm 100% for it. But I believe, not that I believe, let's say I know for a fact that they do make up their evidence and they do supply bullshit evidence. And when they make a deal to cut a person, for instance, me, because you're cowards, and I can't wait to say their names when we do something on the Department of Corrections, because you're all freaking losers. Every one of yous in the past that did what they did, you guys are just a bunch of losers. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I was really not happy. I was, let's even tell, my personal shit out here. But yeah, I was pretty depressed and like literally not sleeping for like over a year. And I just didn't like where I was. It wasn't conducive to me. And you reach out to people and you don't want to tell. It's like you don't want to tell anybody. I mean,
which I'm insulted because I figure I am a good listener and I've always been there.
Yeah, but our generation, we don't fucking reach out for help. We don't say we're okay. We don't say we're this. We say we're okay. We say we're that. We don't really reach out for help. It's not like the other thing. And it got to the point where I did actually reach out for help, and I was frankly very, very, very disappointed in the amount of help I got. It was just kind of like, I for me to text you saying, hey, I'm fucked up. It takes a lot.
You didn't text me.
Yeah.
I always ask, what's up, brother? Something's up. Oh, no, it's just department shit.
Yeah. And then the person whose specific job is to deal with that, you get a text back with, here, call this person.
So they just passed you.
Yeah. It was very, very, very disappointing in the amount of help that you got. Because, like, I mean, when I say I didn't sleep for a year, I mean, I would wake up almost every single 5 out of 6 nights at like 3:00 in the morning, thinking about work, thinking about stuff. And the only reason was 5 out of 6 because by the 6th night, I was so friggin' exhausted, I slept through. But
so you had knockout sleep. It wasn't even like REM sleep. You were just knocked out from being tired.
But yeah, the help that the department provides, and this is something that's, I know Philippe knows, and it's near and dear to my heart that, is going to come up eventually, about the mental health and stuff like that and the help. And, we've all seen it's hit the news, but it's been very brief about, we're getting off topic. I'm sorry, but
it's not off topic. We're talking about the mental health.
But, this guy, this 44-year-old guy dying suddenly, I'm not going to mention any names because, I'm sure the family doesn't, dying suddenly. Well, I don't think he died suddenly. We all know what probably happened.
Absolutely.
And, and I empathize for the family greatly. But at the same token, the family knows, anybody close to him knows, anybody in the department knows. So most people know, that are important to the family because everybody close to him knows, but the public doesn't know. So at that point, why not just tell the public, and not to hurt the family in any way, shape, or form, but so the public knows, how bad it is, because everybody important to me knows. So who cares if the other 10 million people who I don't know knows, and it will shed light on the problem and, maybe, get some help. I mean, we have a unit that's consists of, I don't even know, 7, 8 people, and they have those, and I love dogs. They have those stupid therapy dogs. And it's just like,
Nothing for nothing. My wife had a therapy dog. God rest his soul. He was awesome, but I don't
but,
think it was a good therapy drug unless you gave him pepperoni bites.
yeah. But I mean, like you're involved in an officer shooting, and the EAU unit comes down, and they have a dog for you to pet.
Yeah.
You're involved in a shooting. Hey, you want to pet my dog? No.
You want somebody to sit there with you. You want to.
No, I don't want to pet your freaking dog.
Yeah. So one thing I could say just from your story is I know when I started very young. I was a moderate drinker. I really, that me and you would go out, we'd have a few cocktails or whatever. Then I realized when I got on at 21, I started consuming more alcohol and more alcohol. And I never realized that I drank as much as I did till later on in my life. And I've actually been sober now 8 years. I gave up alcohol completely. But I always realized that after we left, we'd all congregate outside in the parking lot and bring beer balls, bring cases of beer and whiskey. And we would actually drink until almost daytime, go home, sleep, and get up and do it again. My thing was I would still come home, I'd go for a run, I would shower up, go to bed, go to the gym, and then prepare myself, getting cases of beer and everything. And then I really sat there and looked at myself and said, this wasn't me. This wasn't where I was at. I remember me and you at the gym working out, drinking whey proteins, working out again at night together. And I realized those were probably the best days of my life when we just trained and giggled and laughed and just had a great time. And now my life became a substance problem where I didn't realize it until I got older. Do you feel that's the same in your type of job? You guys you don't have that outlet to escape, so now you're either going to alcohol or drugs and whatever. Because I've personally seen in my, when I worked for the department.
I mean, we have undoubtedly have a decent amount of guys, who have a drinking problem. Um, whether or not that's their outlet or not, I don't know. Maybe that's how they deal with it. That's not how, like, I don't drink as well, but that's really just not how I deal with it. Maybe I just, I kind of keep it in and stuff like that. And, I don't have an outlet per se. Maybe his outlet is drinking. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's tough when, people drink and, they try to get them half-ass help. And, I mean, like I said, they have a lot of money invested in these people. They should maybe help them a little bit more. But, to your point, DOC is a tough job, undoubtedly, because like I said, I deal with assholes. I deal with a lot of normal people. And let's be honest, DOC, you deal with nothing but assholes.
I would like to say there's few of us that dealt with the assholes and the other kid status little scumbags that suck up to captains and lieutenants, and they don't. So I give my praises out to my brothers that have retired that worked with me in Walpole, Sousa Baranowski, Northeastern Corrections, and some of them are still solid and still there. I just think that it just sucks because I know my outlet when I needed to was martial arts. So I hung out with people that trained and things like that. And it was a great outlet because none of them worked for the department. And you could speak about stuff and you didn't have to hear someone say something back to you about the department. And then I realized the more value of it was I found that speaking to someone outside my field was a better release because I'm not gonna lie, taking off my badge a few times, gone in the slop sink area, fought some dudes off the record. It is what it is, it's not about that. If me and you got a personal problems, do that. You guys can't do that, and to be honest with you, neither can we. But it was like to me, it was a respect thing. If me and you had a personal problem, we go in the room, we take care of it. It's done. You clean up, I clean up. We both go in on respect. And you can't do that. So there's no release for you on that. You're on the job, something goes wrong. They don't give you downtime. You go and you just got involved in a shooting. You just said that they want to give you a therapy dog. But right away, don't you feel they should pull you from the scene? I understand that report needs to be written, but I'm going to tell you, from firsthand when I got shot and, obviously, the situation with me waking up in the hospital, I didn't want to talk about being shot. I wanted to talk about me physically. Am I able to move? Am I able this and that? Right when they said you got shot in the head, I froze and I just started bawling without realizing anything was going on. And I feel that that wasn't a perfect release for me. And I feel when you're involved with it or when you're the person that did that, shouldn't there be a better avenue? Not, we need your shift report done.
I will say they probably, I haven't been involved obviously, but they do have a better, and I don't want to belittle the dog or how they do it, but when you're involved in a shooting, it is, they do handle it actually pretty professionally.
Okay, my
I mean,
apologies.
no, it's, I was just bringing up the therapy dog because, like I said, you want somebody to talk to who's trained and who's been there. And unfortunately, a lot of the people who pick that avenue for work, um, haven't really gone through it. Like I have a friend. I mean, the guy was, he was Marine Corps. He actually
Hoorah, simplify.
he guarded, actually was one of the people who was guarded Clinton. He has a great resume. Um, you know, and he was telling me, like, our EAU unit guys, a lot of them just, they've been in EAU forever or something like that, or they
What does
haven't,
that stand for?
employee assistant unit.
Okay.
But those are the people you talk to, but they haven't really been through it. Now, like, so you, for example, you've been through a lot of shit, you had this and that, and fights, and you've been in the prison, and you've been in the nastiest, dirtiest places, people throwing crap at you and all that other stuff.
Bullfrogs.
Right now, you don't want the person who, you want to talk to somebody. So they, all right, we'll send down Joe to talk to you. Well, Joe's never seen anything. Joe's worked in a minimum security. He's basically been behind glass his entire career. And do you want to talk to Joe about your nasty experiences? Because Joe can't understand your experiences. You want to talk to somebody who's been through a lot of shit, who can understand you, as opposed to Joe, who's been hiding in some unit for the last 15 years. Yeah, he's got 15 years on the job, but he pulled over cars for the six months, and then he was in some unit, and we have a lot of hiding units. That's not the person you want to talk to. You want to talk to somebody, and that's, to my friend in the Marine Corps, who's done a lot. I mean, he actually was telling me he actually played pool with Clinton, which is pretty cool. And
was this before or after Monica?
I don't know, same time. But,
was she in the pool game?
Yeah. I won't say it. But yeah, he's like, I can't. He's told to me, because I was like, dude, talk to me, please. And he's like, yeah, I can't talk to these people who don't understand what I've been through. And that's just part of it. And like I said, so the people involved in a shooting, I think they have a good handle on that. I'm talking about the 99% of people who just have everyday problems and stuff like that, who maybe aren't seen because they just get lost in the shuffle. And don't get me wrong, we have some great training programs. I did an FBI leader class. It was like 4 weeks with the FBI and doing this and that and the other thing. And all these programs and units that we have, they have some phenomenal ideas. It would just be good if we
utilize them,
adopted one of them.
Yeah. So one of the things, and I do appreciate you sharing your stories with us, because I know I could tell it's emotional when you spoke about 3 things. But what are we doing to prepare our new recruits before putting boots to the ground? And how are you preparing them for what's going to happen out on that field? Because some of them are going to be placed far away where nothing happens, but where stop signs say whoa, and cows are walking pastures. Then the other ones are going to be placed into a place that they've never seen, never dealt with. How do you psychologically prepare them for where they're going?
Well, basically the premise of the academy is, like you were telling me, why can't you just tell that guy who has a hurt knee to screw and, come back when you're healthy? Well, you really can't. But the premise of the academy is to make everything you do almost impossible. For example, you would leave PT, you'd have to go upstairs, shower, clean, wipe down the shower, shave, get everything ready, and be back outside in formation. This is like 100 guys in like 29 minutes. And they had it timed down perfectly. And you couldn't do it unless everyone cooperated and you did it as a team. But the other getting back to the premise of the academy is, they make you want to quit. because the only thing you can do really as the DI is make somebody quit. I can't say you suck, you're gone. We have to make you quit. You have to be the one to quit. So the premise is you break the person down and you make them not want to quit. You make them, because like I said, you're out in the cow pasture and you pull over at Joe Bob, and Joe Bob wants to wrestle you. The idea is, your backup's 20, 30 minutes away. A lot of towns don't even have locals, and it's the premise is we don't want you to quit, and we want you to just keep on fighting because you may not have backup. So that's the premise. Break the person down, build the person back up, and make them not want to quit.
So kind of like that military movie there. I forget the name of it.
Sir, I have nowhere else to go.
No,
Was it
no.
Officer
It
and
was
Gentleman, or what is it?
no. That sick movie where that guy was yelling, "I want you to quit. Yeah, I'm gonna make you quit," and he would run with the guns up in the air. Was that? And then he goes to the bathroom, and he actually gets everything in the end, and then he blows his head off. What was the movie?
That might be like Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Yes. So you guys besides that, the ending part, but you try to break them down and build them up. So this way they understand, you could be placed in a position where there is no backup for 20, 30 minutes away. And luckily, I could tell you in the prison system, it really doesn't work that way because you do have your alarm systems, and God granted the individuals that really want to do their job and really want to protect your life and an inmate's life will throw themselves in the middle and help endure that. So with you guys, I totally understand it. You guys are being placed in a position, one person in a cruiser to patrol 50 miles one way, 50 miles another way, right?
Yeah, you never know where you're going to be.
Yeah, by yourself. I know you've been placed in some great situations where it's just you and your dog. So I knew that.
Yeah.
I hear stories from you, which we'll discuss.
Towns you never even heard of.
Yep, I remember that.
Peru, Mass.
Never heard of it. Where? Peru?
It exists.
Jesus, never heard of it.
Yep.
So listen, what are the negative consequences of inadequate training in recruitment? I know we've touched base on some of it, but I'm not going to lie. It sticks in my head still with this car license thing, knowing that I've had my license pulled when I was younger because I really, really stunk at driving. I remember you tried to get me to drive your Cordova, and I think I went 5 feet, and you were like, "Get out of my car."
So one aspect of the time, training? I mean, you need to have ongoing training. You need to have training. It could result in somebody getting hurt, somebody getting killed, whether it's you, me, or a civilian. And if you're not giving the person proper training and you're not preparing the person, they're out there by themselves making their own decisions, for the most part. So, training is paramount. And if it's not done properly and it's not enforced and it's not continued, I mean, you continue training. Training doesn't stop. It never ends, right? Because things constantly change. It could be, like I said, lawsuits for the department, or even worse, somebody getting hurt or somebody getting killed. The simplest thing we do, the simplest thing we do isn't that, I'm going to shoot somebody or somebody's going to shoot me. The simplest thing we do is, you pull over a car properly and, do that properly. You come upon a crash, you got 3 cars in the middle of the highway, and, that's where you're going to get hurt, so sometimes it's the simplest stuff, and you have to know people's rights, and you actually have to know the law, because the more I know about the law, the more, the better I can do my job.
True. I remember, and I'll use this as an example that kind of threw me off. I remember one day I was passing down the highway, and you called and you said, "Hey, I'm around the neck of your woods. I had to go pick up some dog food for my canine." And I believe you were picking it up somewhere near me. And I says, "Oh, I'm on the same highway." And I pulled over and I waited for you, and you pulled in behind me. No lights on, no wherever. We got out, we hugged, we sat on the guardrail, we were catching up for a moment. All of a sudden, a local police department on the other side pulled up with his cruiser. And instead of asking, "Is everything all right?" he yelled at you and said, "Stady, you need assistance?" And we both kind of looked at him and laughed. And you were like, no, we're good. And he kept asking, are you sure? Do you need backup? You remember that?
Nah, not really, but go ahead.
Wakefield?
Yeah. Yeah.
We stopped and we were sitting there talking, and he was
Yeah.
behind the fence, and he asked you if you needed assistance, and me and you were just sitting there talking and
Yeah.
laughing, and he pulled up. And in my head, I was thinking, what type of police training would he not know that if me and you are just having a conversation and you're laughing and you're telling me a story, that he's asking you if you need backup? Like, I'm just thinking to myself, what type of sensitivity training that he go to? I could totally understand me if I was up and we were arguing, but you could hear us laughing and we were just talking about something. You don't recall that?
I don't recall it, but asking once is, I will say, asking once is more than enough. It is his obligation to ask, no matter what.
Okay.
And I can see that, because, I mean, shit, you don't want to be driving by somebody who seems okay, and then all of a sudden he's not.
Okay, I understand. So one of the last questions I'm going to ask you, and then we'll summarize it all. How does community perception influence police recruitment and training? I know you had said that, obviously, to me, I think it's wrong. I think state trooper exams should be separate, like it used to be back in the day. You said that they had grouped the civil service exam, and now you're having people, because there's 10 boxes they have to check, that now they're just checking it off to check it off, and they don't even want it. I remember when I was younger, it was my dream. And that's what I wanted. There was nothing else. There was nothing above that I wanted to be, was getting out of a cruiser, wearing that beautiful uniform with my black strap across me. Now you're just saying what? That the community policing now goes in, Mass State Police, all dressed up sharp. To be honest with you, I really don't see what I saw before in the Mass State Police. Obviously, you were always dressed, your gig line, boots were always polished. And then all of a sudden, I'll drive down the road. This dude's got his one bootleg untied, his pant because his shoe doesn't feel good, his collar unbuttoned. And I'm looking at them like, wow, that's a disgusting looking person dressed to represent something. You know what I mean? I know for a fact when I go to my client meetings, I'm in a suit, everything's squared away. My shoes are polished because I know it's work time. Obviously, here we're relaxed and we want to be comfortable. But where does it lie in the community aspect now of not getting what we asked for?
So, to the question, perception. So, I do believe the better the perception that we have is more indicative, would help, and would increase the amount of people taking the test. Now, if you look at the state police, and people are going to look at it two different ways. People look at the state police as whatever, we suck, we're this, we're that, whatever negative things you want to say. Now, you or me, some young kid taking the test, if that's the perception of me and or my family and the people around me, I'm less inclined to take it. Why do I want to take a job that's people look down upon or people don't have respect for?
Okay.
Whereas back in the day when, we're highly respected, it's like, fucking state police are here or whatever. So, right. So you want to work, you want to work for an exclusive, good organization. You want to work for a crappy organization. Of course, you want to work for a good organization. So
Sean Angove saying the mic keeps popping in and out, which I find pretty interesting, Chris, because he's one of my employees. So I'm trying to figure out, it's 1:00. Instead of listening to security tales, Sean, you should be doing your work, Sean.
it's like, I'm doing both.
Yeah.
So
And maybe it's your Obama phone that you have that's popping in and out.
The perception of the public is going to increase or decrease, people wanting the job, obviously. And then training, obviously our training has changed greatly.
Greatly? Chris, your training's gone down the tube. And I didn't even hear this from you, but I remember, because obviously, I have a lodge association. I have friends of mine that also were in the academy, and these people are actually in the academy, and you guys used to make them clean the toilets and whatever. They use the facilities. They should be responsible to clean it, not you guys. And then the individual said to them, oh, I'm not going to clean this. This is disgusting. And instead of hitting them with a gig, right? And what's a gig again? I forget what you guys referred to.
This gig and demerit. A gig decreases your final score at the end.
Yeah, the person ended up leaving, and then they ended up calling this individual to come back to work to the academy, and that individual didn't have to clean the toilets anymore. So what type of balance are you trying to say that now you're not pushing up what you said before in the academy where you said we're trying to break you down? Well, that's not breaking down. That every time you make me do something, I say, "Oh my God, no, no, no," and then because I leave you and the classes are low, you're calling me. Your upper people are calling me to come back.
Yeah. I can't say to that yes or no. I certainly hope it didn't happen, but you never know.
I know for a fact it happened because I know the individual that said no
You know,
to it.
hey, you know what? I was doing one quick story. I was doing these people passed everything and they had to come in for a uniform fitting, right? So, it's relatively informal, but you're gonna come dressed nice, right? At a uniform fitting. And this one person didn't show up. So my boss is like tells me and one of my guys, and I had one of my guys do it. It's like, hey, call that person and find out where she is. And he's like, all right. And so he pulls up her number, calls her, and it's like, where are you? You're supposed to be here for your uniform fitting because you're going to be going into the next academy. And her excuse was, well, it's raining today, and I really didn't feel like driving in the rain. So I can't come today. So what's the solution? You got it.
What is it? Tell me they made you drive it to it, Chris.
No. We said, well, we'll call us later on, and you tell us what time works for you.
What works for you,
and you can come down to where we have all the uniforms, and we'll fit you with your proper uniforms, because we know that driving in the rain is much more too difficult for a career. Yeah, so you can't make this shit up.
Listen, this is where we're failing as a community, and me being a parent, and you being a parent. It's us with this sensitivity, and I don't even care who disagrees and who agrees with me. It's once like society is now a softer, kinder, and now they're wondering why we have so many failures and what's going on. It's one as a community where I remember when I was younger, my mother would be like, I'd come home, bring my mother's grocery, and then all of a sudden I will see two houses down. My mother would be like, Junior, run down there, help them with their groceries. Now I'm driving by homes and I'm seeing parents carrying their groceries while their kids texting and walking behind them. I'm seeing like this sensitivity now going into the workforce. I'm seeing like even some of my staff individuals, they come in for interviews, and I love this. My shift will say, I am looking for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday position. That's how it's posted, right? They'll come in for an interview and say, I can only work Monday, Tuesday, and I can't work any more days than that. And I have a doctor's note to say I'm stressed, so I can't work those days. How do you come in when a job post says specifically what the days are, but yet you come in? But then after investigating it, I found out because of unemployment, they need to come in for an interview to say they came in for an interview in order to extend it or to get SSI. So I'm seeing like all these things. Like I go to a barbershop and I'm seeing these kids 19 and 18 years old all the time hanging out there. And I'm like, don't you motherfuckers work? Pardon my mouth. Don't you guys work? And they're like, oh, no, I'm an SSI. I'm stressed. I can't. But yet you're sitting in a barbershop, you're walking outside, you're vaping marijuana, and then you're walking back in a barbershop to hang out and watch movies all day. This is the society we're dealing with. Now you're telling me we're doing the softer, kinder for the state police. Oh, I can't show up that day to pick up my uniform for a job that's going to be my career for the rest of my life. But it's raining. So that doesn't set it in the workforce to turn around and say, if it rains, this person's going to call off. I don't go out during the rain.
Snow fairies.
Yep.
We have snow fairies.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my thing was, all right. I was like, my thing was cross her off. And my boss up way above me said, nope, call her. I'm like, really? I'm like, please. And he's like, nope.
Listen, that's a commitment that back in the day, I remember you got on and you were like, I don't know if I want the job. And I'm like, bro, I am so jealous, but you're getting on. I remember your sister, Tracy, you're taking I remember that whole fight because because you had a great job anyways.
Well, I wanted to be, I was partial. I kind of wanted to be a Fed, but, then I also wasn't willing to, I wanted to stay in my area with my friends and family. So that kind of put a squash on that. I remember, so I was working my job at the insurance company, and I was at the gym, and I don't think I had a cell phone. This is God, what, 30 years ago.
I think we have beepers.
Yeah. And my wife she calls the gym. She knows where I am. I go to work, till 5 and I go to the gym. She calls the gym pages me. And I'm like, all right, I go out, I get the phone. My wife's on the phone. She's like, yeah, the guy from the background called. He goes, if you don't call him back in 10 minutes, you're done. And I was like, okay. So I had to call him back. And he goes, yeah, you don't call me back, you're done. So I called him back, did whatever I had to do, and moved on.
See, and that's funny because the individual I know that's going through the process has screwed up that paperwork. If I'm telling you not 4, not 5, 8 times, because I had the recruiting state trooper call me up and I could tell he was aggravated. He goes, I've sent him this and that. Do you deal with this with him? The answer is yeah. Is he well versed in paperwork? The answer is absolutely not. And I stated that. And I said, if you want somebody that looks good in a uniform, he looks great in a uniform. I go, he's boots, everything. He's always shined. He's always gigged. Always perfect. But if you're asking somebody to read right, the answer is no. You know what I mean? So if anyone has any questions, I'm going to go up to the Facebook and look. And then if anybody has any questions that's on YouTube, I do apologize. I know I have a lot of friends that said they were going to jump on it. And I couldn't do it on Thursday. I have some personal matters I need to take care of. And Chris had to change his schedule to show up. But I'll take a look at Facebook right now. Chris, if you want to say anything.
Well, I just hope your colonoscopy goes better than mine, and
my colonoscopy goes great. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
Well, what's up, Billy boy?
I don't know if you can do it I don't know if they have that at-home kit anymore that you've been doing every week.
Listen, don't worry about it.
So
well,
we went a long time today.
Yeah, I think we went a lot longer than we wanted to. But listen, it's always fun to be with you, bro. So once again, I appreciate everybody that jumped on, and I appreciate it. But like I said before, we need questions. We need to be tested. We need people to say things to us. I would like to say God bless you all, to your family, to health and wealth and success. And on top of it, hello to Mr. Ben Shapiro and my boy Joe Rogan. Love you guys. Chris?
I think we're just trying to get on their show or get some love from them. And
no, I don't want love from them. I'm just saying.
Come on,
they had some great stuff the other day.
We can legitimize ourselves. So
I don't need to legitimize with anybody but me.
Yeah, but anybody wants to talk about anything else, maybe we'll explore that mental health thing a little bit more, or maybe explore the academy a little bit more. I know I've been wanting to talk about that poor guy at the academy back, was it September, October, Delgado Garcia, that actually died in a boxing match, which I don't understand. I still don't understand, because I know all that stuff's recorded.
That would be a great idea, because I'd like to get some of my boxing buddies on it also to discuss that.
I mean, it's like, I can't remember. It's maybe 2-minute rounds, or even 2 1-minute rounds. You're wearing headgear, you're wearing the giant gloves, you got a mouth gear. How does all that happen to you? It's virtually impossible.
No.
And I assume it has, because it was when we were there. Everything's on videotape.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like open and shut, but for some reason that's getting buried, and I really, really feel bad for that family. It's a very sad.
Let's see if we can grab some information for the next show. Once again, thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you very much for your time, and questions or comments or anything else you guys want to talk about, or you want something off the wall for us to talk about. We'd love to try and make it up as we go.
Definitely. Ciao for now.
Thank you.